Real business, real people, real stories. Welcome to Real Business Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Benenati. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 110. Today, I have a special guest. His name is Terry Sullivan. He is widely considered to be the LinkedIn guru. Terry is CEO and founder of BuzzPro, a company he created in 2010. Terry is passionate about sharing his knowledge of branding, social selling, and in particular, LinkedIn training to help you achieve your business goals. Let's listen. Mr. Terry Sullivan, thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. I know you're extremely busy, even with this downtime. I heard you went from speaking engagements to online like everyone else is.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to be here, Robert. It's very nice weather here in Dallas, Texas, and it's going to be probably 80 degrees today. So this is the best time of year for me because before it gets really, really hot,
I hear you. Same here in Orlando. So it's been raining for the last couple of days, but we take the good with the bad, and
I'll take it. Yeah.
So Terry, the reason, I met you, I met you through a friend we have in common. You were on his podcast. I watched the interview. I've been always interested in LinkedIn. So you're a LinkedIn guru. You're a trainer. You're a speaker.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
You've been doing this for a while, correct?
Yeah, I started. I started in the marketing industry many years ago, but I've been working for companies and more recently in the last 20 or so years in digital marketing. And then I worked for a little company up until 2010 called Verizon. And
little company,
so I left.
Right.
Yeah, I left Verizon in 2010 during the Great Recession, Robert. And what happened was, myself along with 27,000 others or so were laid off from Verizon, and there were no jobs. And so what I did is I just took all my marketing skills and I started helping as many people as I could who were displaced because of the recession. And a funny thing started happening, Robert, is that they all started landing jobs. And because I was helping them, and they were all excited. And next thing you know, I was getting calls from CEOs and CFOs and marketing VPs, that kind of thing, asking me if I could come train their teams on LinkedIn. And so I started doing that and getting paid for it. And I said, this is really kind of a lot of fun. I went to California, New York, Washington, D.C. I said, I think I'm going to try to formalize this. And I created a marketing plan. BuzzPro was launched in 2011. And I haven't looked back. Every year I give over 100 presentations a year. Last year I gave 132 presentations. So I traveled quite a bit right before, as you mentioned, Robert, before coronavirus hit here. And I work with a lot of individuals, primarily, executives, VPs, directors, and a lot of CEOs, CFOs, every C-level you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And I help them with their brands. And then I turn around and help their companies as well. I absolutely love what I'm doing, but and I do a lot of pro bono work for job seekers. That's why I've been so busy lately. There's job seeking groups all over the country.
I imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and so I am training all of those folks on LinkedIn as well, and having a good time. I just hit. For me, it's a lot. I mean, of course, you can go up to 30,000 connects on LinkedIn, which is, I'm not a big quantity guy, but I just hit 18,000 first level connects. I bet 1,000 or more have been in the last couple of months, just from presenting so much.
Yeah. So I have a question as to that. So BuzzPro, BuzzPro.com, that's your website. That's where people can reach out to you, correct?
Right. Yeah. BuzzPro. Yeah. BuzzPro.com is my website. And it's got a calendar on there of all my upcoming speaking events. I haven't updated it in the last week, so I've got a lot more things I have to update. And then it's got a little bit about what social selling is all about and branding, and talks a little bit about LinkedIn as well. Yeah. That's my website.
First of all, congratulations on your success and finding actually happiness in what you do. Very few people have the ideal or the dream job where they it's not a job, it's not work, it's something they just love doing. So that's very hard to find.
Well, thank
Um,
you very much. I'm very,
so
very, very grateful for that.
yeah, yeah, anyone would. I mean, I love what I do. I've been self-employed, working for myself in my own company since '04, and I don't see myself going back to corporate, or
I'm right there. What may I ask you a question? I know you're interviewing me, but what did you do before you were a successful entrepreneur?
um a little bit of everything. I started real estate in 1998 in New York.
Wow.
But with that being said, at the age of, I think I was like 23, I had a pizza shop for about 2, 3 years.
Wow.
I worked for uh, Pepsi Cola in New York. Then I worked for a garment industry company, a recycling company out of New York that sent me to Honduras, and I opened up a whole system there for the recycling because of all the companies that went out there for the garment industry.
Wow.
So we were buying all the cutouts and sending them to Spain and so forth. So
Wow.
I've
Wow.
done a little bit of everything. So
Yeah, you have what I would call a diverse industry background. I mean, that's really amazing from, you know, cooking pizzas to garments. I mean, wow,
yeah,
that's a career change there. Now real estate, right? And your real estate company is very successful. Um,
thank you. Yes, it's been up and running since '06. So I started with
oh,
Remax. Yeah, I started with Remax, and for 2 years, then I decided to go on my own. Um, I grew the company from myself to 45 agents in like 3 months, and then the rest is
wow.
history. Yeah, I got up to 100 and just a little over 100 agents, and I survived the depression in '08, '09,
Yeah.
and I'm still here, so it's a good
So are
thing.
you a commercial and residential?
Mostly general real estate,
Mostly.
and I've done
General.
some industrial, I've done some commercial.
Wow.
I flip properties.
Wow.
I'm involved with a group that we built from the ground up. So anything that has to do with real estate, I'm in it. So,
Wow. Real
and
business. I love it.
yes, and with that being said, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you was we know the different social media platforms out there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn are the top ones right now.
Right.
I never had a true grasp or understanding of LinkedIn. I know it was more business to business connection. For me as a real estate agent, realtor, broker, I'm looking for buyers and sellers, right? So
Right.
for me, I wasn't sure if I could find that those prospects on this platform. So I concentrated on Facebook, which was one of the easier and more common ones. Um, and we all started, how we started with families and friends, and then just starts building from there. Instagram, just because I'm more so my hobby is photography.
Oh,
At least one of my hobbies, right? It's
yeah.
photography.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So I relate easy to images. So it was very easy to just jump on Instagram. And then Instagram got bought out by Facebook, and then everything merged. They made it even easier, right? But I didn't I still haven't figured out the right way to use LinkedIn. And then when I saw your interview with Rich, our friend, I was like, you know what? I really have. I reached out to him. I said, you think I could reach out to Terry and see if he could share some insights here, especially for the platform I have, and a lot of realtors listening. You know, we might want to know from you, how can we as agents maximize and take advantage of this platform?
Yes. Well, there's really two things that you have to focus on with LinkedIn, Robert. And number one, you have to have a brand that tells people who you are, what you do, and how you can help within 3 to 5 seconds. And when you look at LinkedIn, the most important, other than your photo and your name, obviously at the top of your profile, the number one aspect or feature of your LinkedIn profile is your branding headline. And you get 120 characters, to really tell people who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Well, the problem, Robert, is if you look at 99 out of 100, 100 branding headlines is a title and a company name, right? I
Hmm.
own XYZ company. I'm the CEO, founder of XYZ company, or I'm the VP of marketing for Verizon or whatever. Well, that does nothing to tell your audience about how you can help them. And what I've learned over the years, regardless of the platform, is people don't care about what you're selling until they figure out how much you care. So you really have to have a branding a headline that describes what you do that attracts people into wanting to stay on your profile and to learn more. And so you get 120 characters to do that. And what a lot of people don't realize is if you have one of these guys right here, Robert, little iPhone,
Yeah.
right? There's an issue with the coding. I guess it's an issue. It's a positive thing for me, but you can actually have more than 120 characters if you make the change to your branding headline on your digital iPhone. It doesn't work on a Droid, doesn't work on a PC, and it doesn't work on a Mac. So the point is that the way you want to use LinkedIn is you want to, number one, create a brand that very quickly shows people how you can help them. And then also creates what we call social proof, which is all about not only talking about what you say you can do, but also LinkedIn endorsements. When people endorse you, that creates believability in your brand. And you should have at least 5 to 6 recommendations that other people have written about you. And that increases what Herschel Gordon Lewis called verisimilitude or believability. And that's so important because there's so many, let's just say, non-truths on digital, right? And so you really have to have a brand that is factual, that's helpful, that's exciting, not so much like Facebook, but also has some things in there that really validate your brand. The second thing you have to have in terms of strategy is how you use LinkedIn. How you use LinkedIn is strategically different than how you use Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, etc. If you post too often in your newsfeed on LinkedIn, people will unfollow you, they'll unconnect with you, or even worse, they'll block you. So really, you want to get in the habit of using LinkedIn just 15 to 30 minutes a day. You don't need to use it more than that. I'm a big LinkedIn expert, and I use it, 15 to, I never use it more than 30 minutes a day, hardly ever, once you set it up. So you want to use LinkedIn on a regular basis, and and you want to get in the habit of doing things. So you want to like, comment, or share on 1 to 3 posts per day, no more. Facebook, you can post a whole bunch more times. And I would venture to say, look at the stats on the platforms, and some of the other platforms, the utilization is actually going down because there's just too much, right? Mm-hmm. So LinkedIn's a business platform. You want to like, comment, share 1 to 3 posts per day, once, maybe twice a week. You want to bring in a post from your blog site or bring in a post from some other place that demonstrates your level of expertise. If you post more than once or twice a week, again, people will unfollow you and unconnect with you. So you want to get in the habit of using LinkedIn on a regular basis, only for a short period of time. You want to post in your news feed, and it's a business platform. A lot of people videos taking off right now. Videos really, really, really big on Facebook and Instagram, huge, right? But it's proven that most people on LinkedIn still are into the written word, right? Because they're very busy and they don't have time to watch a 2 or 3 minute video. They want to scan through your documents, see if there's anything of interest, and if they like it, they'll spend more time on it. So that's so the whole idea is that you want to create a brand that tells people who you are, what you do, and how you can help within seconds. You also want to use a strategy. I call it my social selling strategy. But you want to get in the habit of using LinkedIn 15 to 30 minutes a day. And there are certain things that you need to do, and I can go into more details on that. I just talked about posting, but I wanted to give you a little comparison between Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn in terms of strategy for posting. So that's it, brand and social selling. Those are the 2 things you should really focus in on with LinkedIn.
What do you think about who you target, meaning who you try to connect with, or who's trying to connect with you? Do you accept everyone? Are you picky? Are you very intentional on who you allow to connect with?
Yep. Okay. So here's the thing is, I work with a lot of C-level professionals who are looking for jobs, Robert, and they'll say, I'm only going to connect with people who I've met in person and I've shaken their hands. And I'll say, well, are you looking for a job? They'll say, yes. I said, good luck with that strategy, right? Because you can only shake so many hands. As a matter of fact, today, Robert, you can't shake many hands, right? Because of coronavirus, right? So you shouldn't be probably shaking hands. We probably won't be shaking hands for a while with this virus. But So the point is that you want to connect with legitimate business people. And you're like, well, Terry, what's a legitimate business? Well, I've got 18,000 plus first level connects. And I don't know most of my people well that I'm connected with, but they've been to my presentations, they've listened to my podcasts, they've read my blog articles. So they know who I am. But what I do is if when someone reaches out to connect with me, I look at their profile and I look for three things to make sure that they're legitimate business people. Number one, do they have a profile photo? If they have that little round area up there and there's no photo on it, I'm like, what's the problem here?
Mm-hmm.
What are they trying to hide? Some of my C-level professionals, they're not very active on LinkedIn, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. The second thing I look for is, number two, is do they have an about section? And their about section further defines their branding headline. It tells people more. You get 2,000 characters to tell people who you are, what you do, and how you can help. And so I want to learn about that person. And if there's no profile photo and there's no about section, I'm really leery about connecting with them. What I'll do, the third thing is, Robert, is I'll look to see if there are any mutual level connections. And so if they don't have a photo, they don't have an about summary section, and I see that they're connected with you, I'll go, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They know Robert and they're connected with Robert.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I connect with them then. Now, if within 24 hours they start spamming me with sales messages, I do one of three things. I unconnect with them. I certainly will unfollow them. I'll unconnect with them, or I'll block them. Or if they've offended me, in some cases, I'll block and report them. If they get a certain number of blocks in a particular time period, LinkedIn will actually suspend their account. And I unconnect, block, and report on 1 to 5 people per month. And that's just because, I just think just because I connect with you, Robert, doesn't give you license to start selling me. I don't know you. I don't know your product. Let's develop a little bit of rapport, maybe even have a conversation. And then you can sell, I want to make this point. You never, ever, ever sell on LinkedIn, period. You don't.
That's not the purpose and the final
LinkedIn's
use of
LinkedIn. People call me up. Yeah, I want to target 10,000 of my this on LinkedIn. I said, you're talking to the wrong person. LinkedIn's not set up that way. You'll notice that you can't do any mass anything with LinkedIn. You can't flag a bunch of your first level connections, send them all a message. LinkedIn's smart. It's a networking tool. So you want to find, connect, and develop relationships with your key contacts and prospects, so that will inevitably give you the opportunity to take your online discussion offline. And it's that offline discussion, Robert, you're an amazing communicator, and you know what I'm talking about. When you talk to people over the phone or in person, that's where the real magic happens. And if you've got some rapport going and they show an interest in your product, by all means, start selling. But, and I will be honest with you, Robert, I present to a lot of many real estate groups, 2 last week. And it's really interesting because I present, and as soon as I walk them through the strategies and the principles, tell them don't sell on LinkedIn. And then as soon as I get off the phone, off my podcast, off my Zoom call, I should say, I'll have 20 or more listings of properties for sale around Dallas. And I'm like, unfollow. I'm not interested. I don't want to buy a new home. So the point is that you never sell on LinkedIn. It's all about building trust over a period of time and taking your online discussion offline. That's kind of the strategy with LinkedIn,
that's pretty much how we are here.
That's good.
I did connect with you. You accepted.
Called me right away.
And I called you and I said, when can we jump on a phone call and see if we were right for each other, and we could do this. And here we are.
Robert, you're perfect at that. As a matter of fact, I want to compliment you because
thank you.
Most people that want me at a podcast, they'll send me an email and send me a time with a Zoom link, and I never talk to them. I'm like, man, why wouldn't you? And you right away, even before you even talked about, I think when we talked, I think before we talked, I didn't even know you had a podcast. You're like, hey, we know Rich. I listen to your show. Let's talk. That was awesome.
Right. Well, the first connect was we have a friend in mutual, and I'm not just anyone trying to connect with you.
Yeah.
And then the reason why, and it'll give you the opportunity. I didn't sell on anything. I was just like, this is what I have. Perfect. I would like to have you on if you're up for it. Then and you were, and thank you for that.
Yeah, you were perfect. Yeah, absolutely. That was great. I want to compliment you on that. Fantastic.
So here we listening to what you said about sales, and that's one thing that I do get a lot. As soon as you connect, right away they're shoving things
Yeah.
down your throat here. Um, what do you think, and how do you use the auto message? Because as soon as sometimes I accept someone, right away I have this. I don't know if it's automated, or how can you tell the difference when it's automated or literally written by someone that took the time to connect with you.
Yeah. So part of the process, the way you keep your social selling strategy, Robert, manageable is by using templates, which are pre-written messages, right? That you can. Unfortunately, there's not a feature in LinkedIn, even with Sales Navigator, which I have and I train companies on. There's not really a feature where you can upload your templates and use them easily. You actually have to. I open up Microsoft Word with my templates on the right and LinkedIn on the left. But here's the trick. Have you ever gotten a message request, Robert, where someone says, "Hey, Robert," they put your name in there. "I took a look at your profile. It looks really good. It'd be great if we could connect on LinkedIn." Do you think for a second they looked at your profile?
They did not, of course not.
Of course not, right? So, but if I say, "Hey, Robert, I see you know Rich, great guy. I also see you own a very successful real estate company down in Florida, and you have a podcast which I took a listen to. I think it's great. It'd be great if we could connect here on LinkedIn." Then I paste the rest of the template, right?
Hmm.
Paste it. You'll connect 9 times out of 10.
Of
So
course.
the point is that when you on LinkedIn, you need to you can use templates, you can use auto. They're not really auto responses, but it's a process, but you still have to personalize it. Otherwise, it has just the opposite effect. Um, yeah, and the other thing, while I'm at it, talking about responses, one thing that works very, very well, the social selling process is a 4-step process. Step one is you want to find your prospects who you want to connect with. Step two is you send my personalized templated connection request. Uh, Step three is so important, and nobody ever does it. Most people don't, I should say. But when someone connects with you, whether you sent the connection request or they've sent you sent it or they've sent the connection request, I love to send a thank you for connecting note, right? It can be a template with a gift. And you're like, "Terry, what the heck's a gift?" Well, be the first to give in that relationship. Number one, always send a thank you note. Number two, I have 3 or 4 or 5 blog articles that I share with people that I connect with, depending on what industry they're in and what their interests are. And I'll say, "Hey, Robert, thank you so much for connecting with me here on LinkedIn. I'm really looking forward to learning more about your real business, your real business, real estate company. And I just thought you'd like to have a copy. I just read an article about the state of the real estate business and how it's going to be booming in the next 6 months. That how CV is going to be, changing things, but it's going to turn back around. And I'm really excited about it. Here's an article. Click on the link. Let me know what you think." And then that does a couple things. Number one, it establishes rapport. You're the first to give. You're not trying to sell. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm giving to you, which is just the opposite. And it also gives me an opportunity to pick up the phone and call you in a week and go, "Hey, Robert, this is Terry. Thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. Just following up, see how you're doing. Hey, I wonder if you had an opportunity to read that article that I read about, sent you about the real estate industry. Would love to know your thoughts." And then stop talking. So it helps you turn a cold call into a warm call as well.
Great idea. Yeah, that's a great tip. I did receive your and I can relate to that because as soon as we connected, you sent me a link with
Yep.
12 tips on how to better your LinkedIn profile. And of
Yeah.
course, it had a
Yep.
headline and
Uh,
photo and bio and about and all that. And I was like, well, let me see how many of these 12 I have done. I was like, well, I got to keep working on this.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So
Well, after this podcast, let's set up a call, and I'll spend some time with you and give you some. I'll give you. Let's go through it line item by line item. I'd be happy to help you.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you think about the premium, paying for the premium
Right.
package that LinkedIn versus the free?
Yeah. I love LinkedIn, and the free version of LinkedIn is very robust. It has many, many features that most of your listeners will. That's all they'll need. But if you're trying to build a business, you're trying to get new clients, or you're trying to increase the size of your professional network, or what have you, the free version of LinkedIn, in some cases, is limited. For example, my social selling strategy, that 4-step process on a daily basis, you need to send out 5 connection requests to targeted prospects, right? And you need to find them using Boolean searches. And so what happens with the free version of LinkedIn, Robert, is after about 30 or 40 searches, the results are all blurred out. So you can only do so many searches, advanced searches on the free version of LinkedIn before the results are all blurred out and you can't, you're done. So there are really 3 different versions, premium versions. There is the job seeker version, which is great. It lets you see things like unlimited, the number of people who've looked at your profile in the last 90 days instead of the last, day or so. It does some other things, but it lacks the unlimited search feature. There's the next one up is called the business version of LinkedIn. And I really like that. It's kind of like the free version on steroids. It has the same look and feel. You're still in LinkedIn, but you get unlimited searches. It's got a lot of other features that are enhanced, and it's at a pretty good price. Now, if you really, really, if you're a dedicated salesperson and you want to build your business, Sales Navigator is awesome. I mean, I love Sales Navigator, but in my view, it's almost a completely different app. When you go into Sales Navigator, it takes you out of the traditional LinkedIn page and you go into a completely different area. But Sales Navigator allows you to tag prospects. It allows you to actually have a news feed instead of just seeing things that are posts that are most recent. It's your prospects. So if you have a prospect that has a new job, a promotion, a prospect, or maybe their company's expanding or whatever, boom, it'll tell you. You can also separate your news feed by companies. And so if you're targeting a specific company, it'll show you those companies and what's going on with them. And that's a great, fast way to find out, what's going on with your key contacts and prospects. And then, of course, you can tag people. So, for example, if someone is a prospect, or if there's a previous customer, or someone, you can sort people not only by whatever kind of tags you want. And then I put, for example, every time I present, and people, like after this podcast, I'll let's say 50 people connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll create a tag that will say Robert's podcast on this date, and then that way I have a feel for, hey, when exactly did they connect with me? How did they find out from me? So then, from a marketing perspective, I can see what's working and what's not. So, and just like on the recruiter side, I work with 3 recruitment agencies, and there's a version called Recruiter Lite and Recruiter, and that's all for recruiters that are trying to source candidates. But so there's really 5 different versions that I'm aware of. But to me, the best version out of all of them, probably for your audience, would be the business version, just because the price is right, you get unlimited searches.
Now, obviously, the LinkedIn users have a different mindset than users on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
I believe they're more business minded and more on the corporate side.
On LinkedIn, yeah.
On LinkedIn,
yeah.
So, again, for realtors,
what's the strategy?
Yeah, how can we use it to the point where we're not just flooding the news feed with obviously what all realtors do? Buy from me, I'm your realtor, and here's my listing, and I just closed on this. How can we just be out there, use LinkedIn, but in a subtle way, but make it effective? That's where it gets tricky. Like you said, on Facebook, you could just put as many posts as you want,
as you want. Yeah. There. So really, going back to those 2 things that we need to focus on from a brand perspective, I'd highly recommend that your real estate audience check out some of my clients. Nicole Smith Woodward, WOODWARD, Nicole Smith Woodward, and she is a luxury home residential realtor extraordinaire. And look at her keywords in her skills section. Copy every one of them. right?
Okay.
Because you'll be found for those terms, right? Look at her summary section. It includes a call to action at the very end, which is not a sales pitch. It's a CTA, right? It's like, hey, connect with me. Let's get connected here on LinkedIn, have a conversation. So number one, look at Nicole Smith's Woodward's profile, so you can kind of see, what a brand should look like. But in terms of posting strategy, which is what you're specifically asking about, again, if
Well,
you just post,
it's the way that most agents commit the mistake, because that's all they know is just post, post, post.
yeah,
And I don't think that's
that's
I
not,
don't think that's
yeah,
the
not
way
on
to do it on
LinkedIn. People
LinkedIn.
will unfollow you on that on LinkedIn for sure. Um, so with LinkedIn, what I tell my realtors that you have to use a 411 strategy, right? And what I mean by that, Robert, is, think of it in terms of giving back to your community, giving to your digital community, and you want to post 4 pieces of content that will help your audience. So, for example, here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I live in Flower Mound. So maybe my realtors here in Flower Mound, they could post something about the local economy. They could post something about how maybe coronavirus is, how that's affected the area, and things are improving. 4 things that are really going to be kind of helpful about the community, things that people buying homes or selling homes would find of interest. The market's going up, market's going down. Just articles that are going to be of interest that will be informative times 4. Then one article about your business. And so it's not a big, please don't post a picture of a home for sale. It could be something about maybe you had a home opening at a particular location for a new subdivision that's just going up, and it's very interesting. The mayor was there. Just something that would be of interest that ties into your company, but it's not really a big sales pitch. Buy my property. Here it is. Pricing, number of rooms, etc. So that's 4-1, and then the last one would be something of personal, professional interest. Okay, and so what that would mean is, maybe it's a little bit on the Facebook side, but maybe you had a team meeting and you guys went out to go see the baseball team, or went out to the beach or something. It's okay to have that 411, that last thing, something personal, but again, try to keep it tied into your profession, and keep it business related. No selfies. Hey, look, kind of thing. Um, but that's what I would say is 411 works very, very well with realtors. And again, it's all about giving back to your community. And as far as the brand goes, your profile brand, you really want to make darn sure that your brand on LinkedIn tells people who you are, what you do, and how you can help within just a few seconds. And I know I've said that a couple times, but I can't tell you how many profiles I see where I look at it and I don't know what they do for a living. It's all over, their brand's all over the place. So people who buy homes, who want to sell homes and possibly use you as a realtor for those services, will go to LinkedIn first place for reconnaissance purposes. So I meet you, Robert. You tell me you're an amazing entrepreneur. You're an amazing real estate company. The first place I'm going to do is go to LinkedIn to find out even more. Where did you work? What are your customers saying about you, et cetera. So have a brand that validates your brand. Think of it in terms of being reconnaissance. They're going to research you. Make sure your online brand is the same as your offline brand. That's branding. And then number 2, post on a regular basis, 1 to 3 times a day. But don't make it all about you and your company. Make it about your community. Make it about, bring, like, comment, and share on things that people are going to find of interest and of help. And I will tell you this: once or twice a week, you want to bring in an article from off of LinkedIn. Why is that important? Because a lot of realtors probably aren't going to connect with a lot of other realtors, right? So, in terms of industry information, you want to go out to a blog site, maybe your blog site, Robert, and maybe you have a great article about, some tips on selling your home or how to stage your home or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
That once a week, have your realtors go out and grab that article and bring it in. Once or twice a week, bring an article, because those type of articles most likely are not going to show up in a realtor's newsfeed. You have to go out and get them and bring them in and comment about it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed one thing. You're right. When you Google for someone, you're going to find you're going to find them probably in 3 places. a website if they have one.
Yeah,
If they're a realtor, it's most likely like Realtor.com or Zillow, and the third one is going to be LinkedIn if they have one. And
you're darn right.
it's always a top five. Yeah,
Always. And
yeah.
while we're talking about that, the number one searchable term on digital, right, on the internet, is your first and last name. So I want to tell your audience, when you create a LinkedIn profile, it creates this really long, what I call a vanity URL, which is, Terry Sullivan. It's got a hyphen between your first and last name plus a bunch of characters out at the very end. Well, that destroys the ability for people to find you for your number one searchable term, right? So this long term with all these characters is in your LinkedIn URL. So change that. Go into the editing features of LinkedIn, change that long vanity URL to your first and last name, because your first and last name truly is the number one searchable term on the internet. You're exactly right.
I have a question for the strategy that this one person is using. I'm not going to say if it's a he or she, but
Who? Yeah. Tell me who it is, Robert.
but what this person is doing is actually doing quick videos on the cell phone, and it's a quick message, but instead of writing it, this person is actually just verbalizing it and connecting with people
Yeah.
that way. Is that a good strategy? Have you seen this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
it's not like a super edited video.
Yeah.
It's
Just
right off just
2 minutes or less.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing. And I've got a lot of great friends. Fanny Dunnigan down here in Dallas is one of the nation's. She's top pro on video, digital video for that. She's amazing. Um, and so we always have discussions and debates about video, right? But there's a guy there's actually some social media scientists. I call them scientists that work. My social media marketing management tool that I use is called Agora Pulse, and it's amazing. I'm not doing a pitch for it, but they have a blog and they talk about LinkedIn a lot, in terms of whether or not you should use video. And the consensus is that on LinkedIn, the the prevalent the most widely accepted preferred type of communication is the written word. They also make a case that in some cases that's why some of the utilization for Facebook is going down. There's just too much. There's just too much information, too many videos, etc. So I think to a large degree, the platform mandates that you use the written word over video. But that said, as we all know, and you'll hear statistics a lot of times on how video's taking over. I get it, it is, but I think LinkedIn's just a little bit. The audience is a little bit slower to adapt to it because it's everywhere else. It's on Snapchat, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's everywhere. So I would say it really depends on your audience, right? So if your audience is younger, that your audiences that prefer videos, then by all means, if that's your target market, use video. But I would say that if you're looking for business professionals who are very busy, the odds are, I think you'd be better off to probably write the written word over video, just because I think they prefer to look at it. If they're interested, they'll scan through it and then read it in more detail. I think that works for them a lot better. But you'll hear a lot of debates. It's kind of like in the job seeking world, Robert. If you ask 10 people who are resume experts about what should be in a resume, you'll get 14 right answers, right? Everyone's got a different opinion.
Yeah.
But I do believe that it depends on your audience and the platform. In this case, I think most of the people, the audience on LinkedIn are professionals. They tend to be, and I think they have a preference, I believe, for the written over video. But again, I love videos, and like I said, some of my best friends are video producers for social media, and I think they're great. But in my view, I don't have a lot of time, so I just want to scan through the written article and go on to the next thing.
And move on. Okay. All right. I got two final questions here, and I'll probably throw both of them at you, and you can answer them.
Let me have them, Robert.
Okay. So, one, do you prefer people to request connection, or you rather go out and connect? That's number one. And two, going back to posting or the 411, is there a right day and time to be posting on LinkedIn?
Okay. So should I reach out and connect with people, or should they? First of all, if you're trying to accomplish, if you have a mission, a marketing mission or a networking mission with LinkedIn, don't wait for it to happen. Don't wait for that magic client to reach out to Terry Sullivan so I can sell them a home, right? There's there's, especially with so many people being unemployed, the internet is just bombarded. Social media, especially LinkedIn, everyone's looking for a job, right? So, or many people are anyways. So you need to be proactive and take a strategic approach to who you're going to connect with. Be the forefront, be the lead on that. Yes, people can reach out and connect with you. Like I said, I'm on podcasts and I train people every day. That's why they can reach out and connect with me. But if I, want to make my business a success, I have to specifically go and look for people who could be potential prospects. Send them a connection request. Once they connect, I send them a thank you for connecting note, and then I pick up the phone and call them. Take the lead on developing your professional network. Don't wait for it to happen. I like when people reach out and connect with me, but
so
I think
I'm
at
listening.
the same time,
I'm listening to what I'm getting out of this is it just depends the type of industry you're in. So for obviously for us, for realtors, we depend on sales. We want to go out and approach.
yeah,
You train so many
definitely.
people that by the end of your training session, like you said, you're going to get 20 hits of requests. So maybe for you it's just different than it would be for me.
No, I'm right there with you. For my business, I present a lot and I connect with a lot, and I use that to develop what I call referral partners. I'm sure you've read a book called The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer, and it's all about developing ambassador and champion referral partners. That's what I do with my with my podcast and what have you. But as far as me developing business, I'm reaching out and implementing my 25, 15, and 10 social selling strategy. I'm taking the lead to reach out to people who I don't know, who may not have attended one of my presentations, to connect with them, to develop that relationship with them, and then to pick up the phone and call them. So I'm very much like I think you are, Robert, in that I'm not waiting for my podcasts or my presentations to help me develop my business. I'm reaching out and finding people to connect with.
Awesome. And date and best time to post on
Oh
LinkedIn.
boy, yeah, that's a good one. I that's the tough. I think that's the toughest question there is. I don't, first of all, I would tell you that to make the whole process easy, there's a couple of websites that I want to recommend. One is called Feedly.com, Feedly.com, and that's a news aggregator, and it's free. And so that's where I go. Remember, I told you how you want to reach out and get that 411 strategy. You want to reach out, you want to get content that you can share with people rather than spending hours going from blog to blog. You want to go to feedly.com, set up an account, and while you're in your local coffee shop, you can check out your Feedly, your Feedly post. And then what's really cool is Feedly is linked to another free app, or actually it's not free anymore. I think it's like $10 or $15 a month, but it's called buffer.com, buffer.com. And so if you read an article that you see in Feedly, you can very quickly, within 2 clicks, go into buffer.com and click schedule it. And Buffer is a scheduler, and it'll tell you, okay, I want this post to go out twice a day on Monday, once on Tuesday, and then on Friday twice again. And so you can set up a schedule, and then every time you bring in an article from Feedly, it goes out pre-scheduled via Buffer. It's a really slick thing. I do all my posts a week in advance on a Sunday afternoon. I tend to focus on Thursdays, to be honest with you. Thursday seems to be about, Mondays, I think people are very busy trying to catch up on emails. Tuesday and Wednesday, things are going on with business building. Thursdays, things are kind of they're getting ready for the weekend.
Slowing down, right?
Yeah, things are slowing down. And then Fridays, they're ready for Saturday, Sunday. They're probably going to be, showing homes in your industry or, closing on clients. Weekends are very busy for your audience. So I would say Thursday, if you really want to get the attention of people, I would say, regardless of the vertical, I would say if there's my favorite posting time, it would be Thursday mornings between 9, and 11. And that's when I typically have most of my important posts. Is on sometime on a Thursday. I try to hit in the morning.
All right, perfect, excellent. Terry, you're full of knowledge here. Obviously,
Yeah.
you've done this once or twice.
Well, thank you, Robert.
Yeah. I look forward to connecting again with you and, like you said, go over those 12 tips that you shared. Is it okay if I share that link on
Absolutely.
YouTube and on the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Please, or have them go to linkedintips.com. They can download that same document, or you can send it to them. Please do that. And then also, if you would like, I can send you some other information about Boolean searches, social selling, and that kind of thing. And maybe you can make that available to your audience as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So when is your next?
This afternoon at 2:00.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
I've got a presentation. You mean
your presentation or a speaking engagement, which now?
Yeah, I've got this afternoon. I'm speaking to the DFW. It's called Women in Technology Group at 2:00 today. Yeah, so I've got another presentation. Yeah, I've got. I usually have 1 or 2 a day, so I really enjoy what I do.
Are you doing any webinars to share with just the public?
I don't do. If you go to my buzzpro.com site, pretty much any presentation I give, it's a Zoom presentation, is open to the public. Like the one this afternoon, it's closed, but most of them are open. But if you go to my website, buzzpro.com, and click on the speaking tab, if someone wants to see one of my webinars, my free webinars, there's a bunch of them. I just have to update it. I've been really bad this last week. I haven't updated it. So I've got several I need to add.
All right. Excellent. All right. For those listening, Terry Sullivan, he's a LinkedIn guru, trainer, strategist. You can reach out to him at buzzpro, BUZZPRO.com.
Thank you, Robert, and congratulations on all your amazing success. Your profile's amazing, your brand's amazing, and I hope I get to work with you again one day. You're a great guy.
Sure, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, sir. Nice working with you, Robert.
Likewise.
Bye now.
Bye. Now, before you go, if you like the topic in today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on iTunes or visit realbusinesspodcast.com for more information. Thank you. Until next week, stay real.